Tiffany Henyard is gone, but unfortunately, the village of Dolton is still dealing with the aftermath of her actions. This includes the multiple lawsuits filed against the village due to Tiffany Henyard's wrongdoings. Two of the lawsuits stem from the altercation that occurred during the town hall meeting. The lawsuits were filed by Lavell, Redmon and Jedidiah Brown. However, based on the information outlined in their lawsuits, they are not telling the truth. It's baffling that they would lie when there are multiple videos that show what actually happened. They also appear to be downplaying their roles that led to this altercation. According to the factual allegations listed in Lavell's lawsuit, on January 28, 2025, a regular scheduled Taunton Township meeting took place where public comments were allowed. Jedidiah Brown, a well-known critic of defendant Tiffany Henyard, participated in the comment portion of the meeting and made remarks directed at Tiffany Henyard. As Brown was concluding his comments, defendant Kamal Woods approached Brown from behind in a menacing manner and called Brown a B and threatened to hurt him. Defendant DeMarcus Quigley also called plaintiff a B. Woods and Quigley also stated that there was a green light on either one or both of the plaintiff and Brown to physically hurt them. Plaintiff intervened in an attempt to mediate and prevent any physical altercation between all parties. Defendant Woods then physically pushed plaintiff and swung at plaintiff, prompting the plaintiff to defend himself and Brown by punching Woods. Woods then dragged Brown to the ground and a melee ensued. During this melee, defendant Henyard ran from her chair across the room and physically attacked plaintiff, first by swinging wildly and hitting him with her microphone, then physically attacked Brown by hitting Brown in the back and the head with her microphone while he was down on the ground. After being hit by Henyard, plaintiff backed away from the brawl on the outskirt of the scrum. However, plaintiff then tried to re-enter the scrum to find Brown and make sure he was okay. However, as the plaintiff was attempting to re-enter the scrum, defendant Quigley jumped onto a table and violently kicked plaintiff several times. After being kicked by Quigley, plaintiff punched Quigley in the leg, which caused Quigley to stop kicking plaintiff. So based on the information listed in Lavell's lawsuit, he's saying that Kamal Woods approached Brown from behind in a menacing manner and called Brown a B and threatened to hurt him. Right off the bat, I noticed that they had no problem stating Kamal Woods called Jedidiah a B. But when it came to what Jedidiah called Tiffany Henyard, they listed it as a remark. If you saw the video of the incident, we know that Jedidiah also called Tiffany Henyard a B. In regards to Kamal Woods approaching Jedidiah from behind in a menacing manner, well, the videos tell a different story. After Jedidiah called Tiffany Henyard an expletive, he proceeded back to his seat. Kamal Woods did get up from where he had been sitting behind the podium. It appears he was saying something. However, he was nowhere close to Jedidiah. Jedidiah then turned around and approached Kamal Woods. Let's look at it from another angle. Lavell also said that he was attempting to prevent any physical altercations, and Woods pushed him and swung at him, and he had to defend himself. But the video evidence does not support this claim. Here we see Jedidiah Brown, Lavell, and Kamal Woods. And if we go frame by frame, we can see Lavell putting out his hand to stop Jedidiah from approaching Kamal Woods. Kamal is standing, hands at his side. Then Lavell makes a lunging motion towards Kamal. Kamal then puts his hand out in a defensive manner, maybe anticipating a punch. At that time, there was no punch thrown. However, Lavell did push Kamal. Let's look at it from a different angle because we can see the push much better. An individual by the name of DeMarcus Quigley, who is also named in the lawsuit, attempted to pull Kamal back, and then we see Lavell throw a punch. So Lavell is the first one that pushed Kamal and threw the first punch, which contradicts what he stated in the lawsuit. Lavell also stated that Woods then dragged Brown to the ground and a melee ensued. At this point, the fight had already begun. Here we see Kamal Woods' hand, and here is Jedidiah Brown, and there is a clear separation between them. But if we go frame by frame, we can see Jedidiah Brown's hand move towards the fight right before he enters it. So Lavell's claim that Woods dragged Brown to the ground and a melee ensued is also a lie. Before entering the fight, Brown grabbed something that he used as a weapon, but we will come back to this. Lavell also stated that Henyard ran from her chair across the room and physically attacked him by swinging wildly and hitting him with her microphone, then physically attacking Brown by hitting him in the back and the head with her microphone while he was on the ground. This is something that Jedidiah Brown also stated in an interview with ABC7 Chicago.
She ran from behind the table with a microphone in her hand, and she hit me with it, while another one of her staff members was kicking me in the head, and I was defending myself against Kamal and other individuals. She wasn't breaking up anything.
Yes, Tiffany Henyard did run from across the room, but did she hit Lavell or Jedidiah with a microphone? Did she even have a microphone in her hand when she ran from across the room? Let's look at the video evidence once again. Right before the fight began, we see Tiffany Henyard tapping the microphone. Once the fight started, we see her put the microphone down as she gets up. Let's look at another angle. We see her get up, and you can see her place the microphone on the table before pushing the table and running towards the fight. But here's who had a microphone and was using it as a weapon: Jedidiah Brown. If we look at the video, we see the microphone, and as Jedidiah Brown passes the podium, he grabs the microphone. Let's play that again. And in this video, we can see him swinging the microphone. So based on the video evidence, Lavell's claim that Tiffany Henyard hit him with a microphone and then struck Brown in the back and the head with it is not true. And the person who was using a microphone as a weapon was Jedidiah Brown. Now I'm going to switch over to what Jedidiah Brown stated in his lawsuit. The statement of facts listed in his lawsuit is practically the same as what we just covered in Lavell's lawsuit. He mentions Tiffany Henyard having a microphone and using it to hit him in the back of the head. We have already proven that this statement is a lie. So we are starting from line 21. During this melee, defendant Quigley physically attacked plaintiff by kicking plaintiff in the face while he was down on the ground and while he was being held back and choked by Henyard and Woods. Upon information and belief, John Doe also kicked and or stomped plaintiff during the melee and pulled him to the ground. After being kicked in the face by Quigley, plaintiff was able to get to his feet and was confronted by Sergeant Storm, who was wearing all black with a vest indicating officer on it and was involved in the melee. In regards to Quigley kicking Brown while he was on the ground, that's true. Looking at the video footage, we can see Quigley kicking Jedidiah Brown. Sergeant Storm and John Doe, who were holding out to be security guards hired by All Points for the township meeting, were in close proximity and had the opportunity to prevent or de-escalate the altercation, but both failed to do so. Jedidiah Brown is stating that the security did nothing to prevent or de-escalate the situation. But looking at the video, we can see that the security guard was trying to break up the fight. Instead, Sergeant Storm picked plaintiff up and carried him to a separate room where John Doe also entered shortly thereafter and closed the door behind them. Picking you up and carrying you away from the conflict would imply that the security guard was attempting to de-escalate the altercation. Both Sergeant Storm and John Doe grabbed plaintiff and began to wrestle him to the ground. While on the ground, Sergeant Storm physically restrained the plaintiff against his will and hit him several times, banging plaintiff's head and elbows against the wall and the floor. After fighting both men for approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds, plaintiff broke free and ran out of the room. We have no video footage to disprove this statement. However, I'm very skeptical that this happened, especially given all the lies that have already been told in this lawsuit. After leaving the side room and returning to the main room, plaintiff was met by another Taunton Township employee who hit plaintiff's neck hard. Shortly thereafter, plaintiff was pushed in the back by a female who, upon information and belief, was a companion of Quigley. Let's review the footage of Brown returning to the main room. The video shows Brown re-entering the main area and attempting to confront the individuals he had been fighting with, while people try to stop him. At no point did we see anyone hit him in the neck hard, as he claims in the lawsuit. The lawsuit also states, upon information and belief, Woods subsequently kicked plaintiff in the lower abdomen. After this, plaintiff exited the township hall and went outside, where residents who were present during the meeting invited plaintiff to sit in their car to avoid further physical altercations. Let's look at some more footage from a different angle of what happened after Jedidiah Brown returned to the main room. Here we see Kamal Woods and Quigley. And here is Jedidiah Brown after he returned to the main room. At this point, Kamal Woods and Quigley were never in close proximity to Jedidiah Brown, so his claim of Woods kicking him in the lower abdomen after he entered the main room is a lie. In my opinion, this lawsuit is just a money grab. As I watched this Dolton situation unfold, it was evident to me that Jedidiah Brown was just itching for confrontation.
You gonna answer, and you gonna answer me. Promise you that.
More drama in South Suburban Dolton.
You out of order. You out of order. Hey.
At Monday night's village board meeting, activist Jedidiah Brown tries to confront trustee Andrew Holmes about assault allegations. Brown rushes over to Holmes, then is quickly stopped by police. Trustee Jason House steps in, holding trustee Holmes back. Then, more scuffles with police, as it appears that Brown is trying to approach Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Police then push Brown to the back, where he's taken into custody, then arrested.
These two individuals, Jedidiah Brown and Lavell, are being represented by the same law firm. Recently, Jedidiah Brown's lawsuit was amended, and both lawsuits have now been consolidated. I will bet the law firm that is handling this case is doing so on contingency, which means that the law firm does not get paid unless Lavell or Jedidiah Brown wins their case or gets a favorable settlement. If you look at the lawsuit, we see they include South Holland Police and Taunton Township. By including these governmental agencies, they are almost guaranteed a payday, because in most cases, they will settle instead of litigating these type of lawsuits. In the meantime, it seems that Jedidiah Brown has moved on to new opportunities.
That video showing part of what's led several people to sue Flint's mayor, police chief, and 3 police officers. Among the claims in that suit, a violation of their civil rights.
But Flint police say they were just doing their job. TV5's Zane Omer tells us what happened that led to last night's chaos at the city council meeting. Zane?
According to the complaint filed in federal court by the Lento Law Group, the 4 plaintiffs include 3rd Ward candidate Beverly Biggs Levy, her husband Terrence Levy, and activist Jedidiah Brown. A lawsuit filed against Flint Mayor Sheldon Neely, Police Chief Terrence Green, and 3 officers after an incident between Flint police and protesters during a march on Sunday. Here's what happened. According to the lawsuit, a bus carrying Christian activists from Chicago arrived at a church in Flint where they were joined by local residents for a service before traveling downtown. The plaintiffs claim they were targeted by police and the mayor, alleging their civil rights were violated, excessive force was used, and emotional distress was intentionally inflicted on them. Flint police say officers were dispatched to Saginaw Street around 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon after reports of a gathering that was disrupting normal traffic flow and posing safety concerns. Police say they made multiple announcements to protest participants, but in response to the continued blocked traffic, police say they stopped several drivers, issuing tickets, and towing vehicles in violation of traffic laws. However, the lawsuit claims the officers forcefully pulled Mr. Levy out of his vehicle while it was still in drive, did not tell him why they were doing so, or the grounds for his detention and handcuffing. The lawsuit also says that Brown was the one to organize the march, but he did not obtain a permit to hold a peaceful protest, which is required by the Flint Ordinance. The lawsuit also says he did not request one because it would have been difficult to get one due to his past conflict with city officials. Reporting live in Flint, Zane Omer, back to you.
Jedidiah Brown seems to have a history of filing these civil rights lawsuits, which raises the question, activists or opportunists? I'm going to end the video here, but I'm interested in knowing your thoughts on all of this.